London, a city of nearly 9 million people, a place where accents collide, cultures overlap, and history refuses to stay buried. Almost 40% of its population was born outside the country. That makes modern London one of the most diverse cities on Earth. But this isn't a modern miracle, it's an ancient pattern. For nearly 2,000 years, London has pulled people toward it. Soldiers, merchants, refugees, dreamers, conquerors. Empires rose here. Faiths collided here. Fortunes were made and destroyed here. Yet London did not begin as a capital. It did not begin as a grand plan. It began as a gamble. In the year 43 AD, Roman legions crossed the English Channel and invaded Britain. They were not looking to build a world city. They were looking for control. On the northern bank of the River Thames, at its narrowest crossing point, they built a small defensive settlement. They named it Londinium. It was chosen for one reason: strategy. The river could be bridged here. Goods could move here. Troops could be deployed quickly. At first, Londinium was fragile, a frontier town on hostile ground. Just 17 years later, that weakness was exposed. In 60 AD, a rebellion exploded across southeastern Britain. Led by the Celtic queen Boudica, native tribes rose against Roman rule. They burned everything in their path. Londinium was erased. So were other Roman settlements. The Romans returned, and this time they rebuilt with purpose. Streets were planned. A forum rose at the city's heart. Temples, bathhouses, an amphitheater, and massive public buildings followed. A basilica, larger than any north of the Alps, dominated the skyline. By the end of the 1st century, Londinium was home to 60,000 people. It had replaced Colchester as the capital of Roman Britain. Power attracts danger. Sometime between 190 and 225 AD, a defensive wall was built around the city. It defined London's boundaries for centuries. Gates controlled movement. Trade flowed inward. Authority flowed outward. But empires do not last forever. By the early 5th century, Rome was collapsing. In 410 AD, the last Roman legion left Britain. Without imperial support, Londinium withered. Stone buildings fell silent. Streets emptied. By the end of the century, the city was largely abandoned. London almost died. Its revival came from an unexpected source. In the 5th and 6th centuries, Anglo-Saxon migrants crossed the North Sea from what is now northern Germany and Denmark. They did not settle inside the ruined Roman city. Instead, they built a new town to the west. They called it Londonwick. It grew quickly. By the late 7th century, it was home to around 10,000 people. A port thrived along the river. A church rose, the first St. Paul's Cathedral. Christianity took hold, trade expanded, and once again, wealth drew attention. In the 9th century, ships appeared on the horizon. Long ships. The Viking Age had reached Britain. London was raided in the 830s, again and again. What began as a tax became occupation. In 871, the Great Heathen Army took the city. They camped inside the old Roman walls. 15 years later, the balance shifted. King Alfred of Wessex retook London in 886. He ordered the settlement moved back inside the Roman walls. The defenses were restored. The bridge was rebuilt. London was reborn again. Its size made it powerful. Its location made it wealthy, but it was not yet England's capital. That honor still belonged to Winchester. Everything changed in 1066. After the Battle of Hastings, William of Normandy marched on London. The city submitted. On Christmas Day, William was crowned king in Westminster Abbey. The Norman rulers did not trust the population, so they built fortresses. At the eastern edge of the city, a timber fort rose, then stone replaced wood. It became the Tower of London, a symbol of dominance and fear. London was now the largest city in England, but royal power still lived elsewhere, until fire changed everything. When much of Winchester burned, royal administration moved permanently to London. In 1097, Westminster Hall was constructed, not for Parliament, for the king. London was becoming the center of power. The medieval city exploded in size, from 15,000 people in 1000 to more than 80,000 by 1300. Foreign communities arrived: French wine merchants, Flemish weavers, German sailors, Jewish traders. London Bridge transformed the river. Built of stone in 1209, it stood for over 600 years. Houses lined it, shops hung over the water. It was the only pedestrian crossing of the Thames. Power followed money. In 1189, London elected its first mayor. In 1215, the Magna Carta recognized the city's unique rights. London governed itself. Guilds controlled trade: weavers, goldsmiths, brewers, ironmongers. But prosperity had a price. Streets were narrow, homes were packed tight, disease spread fast. In 1348, the Black Death arrived. At its peak, 200 people died every day. The city never fully recovered its population for generations. Anger followed suffering. In 1381, thousands of peasants marched on London. Buildings burned. Officials were killed. Order was brutal. Criminals were displayed in stocks. Traitors were executed publicly. London was wealthy and violent. By the 16th century, everything accelerated. Maps showed the city spilling beyond its walls, westward toward Westminster. Population surged from 50,000 to over 200,000 in less than a century. London was now global. Trade reached Russia, Africa, India, the Americas. Joint stock companies emerged. Capitalism took shape. The city entertained itself loudly: taverns, brothels, theaters. When performances were banned inside the walls, playhouses moved south of the river. The Globe Theatre rose. Shakespeare's words filled the air. London was no longer just England's city. It was becoming the world.